Welcome to the Next Level Life podcast with Christine Corcoran. This podcast is made for the powerhouse businesswomen who are ready to ignite their fullest potential. This is where we will dive deep into the mindset breakthroughs and sprinkle in some kick up the butt motivation so you can scale your business with confidence and clarity. Whether you're craving more income, impact, or inspiration, this podcast will be your ultimate resource for all things next level. Listen in as we have authentic conversations with game-changing female entrepreneurs as we reveal the secrets of what it takes to rise and thrive. So go ahead, ignite your inner fire, and let's get you taking massive aligned action. Are you ready to elevate? Let's go. Good afternoon. How you doing? So lovely to see you. Just looking in the room. Nice to see you. Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for jumping in. I'd love for you to jump in the chat and let me know where you're tuning in from so I can see where everyone's coming in from. I'm just getting everything set up and just letting everyone in. Excited for today. Yes, people from Brisbane, sunny Melbourne. Oh my gosh, is it sunny? That's so happy for you, Sarah. I'm like, it's starting to get hot here now, and I actually have to have the aircon on, and I'm like, this is just so quickly turned, didn't it, Brisbaneites? I hope it's not too cold in Canberra. Love it. Linda in Victoria. Awesome, Carol. Nice to see you. Amazing. Sunny coast. Beautiful. Amazing. Well, I'm excited to dive in today. And as we dive in, jump into the chat and ask any questions as we go through. You still have your heater on, Susan? Oh my gosh. Oh, I'll try and send you some heat down there. Oh, goodness. Hopefully it starts turning for you. So I'm excited for today's masterclass because off the back of last week, I ran a masterclass all about why your scalable offer isn't selling, which the replay is available. So if you want the replay, it'll be up on the replay page when I set out the replay for this one. So if you missed that one, you want to watch it, you're more than welcome to, because that one's very much focused on strategy. And today, which is one of my favorite things to cover, is actually what informs the strategy, which is you. Because when we can have the best strategy in the world, but if we are not the person that needs to hold the capacity for that strategy, we're not the ones that are backing ourselves and putting in all the work in order to make that strategy work, strategy means nothing, right? It's the mindset, it's the identity, it's the person we're being that creates the results. And so, strategy is amazing, but you need to be the version of yourself that can hold that capacity, achieve those level of results, and hold those level of results. So that's what today is all about. Diving into being unapologetically ambitious. And I love the word ambitious because it helps to speak to drive. It helps to speak to being ambitious. And I think that for so many years as women, sometimes it's almost like being a dirty word for a really long time. Like it's not okay for us to be ambitious when it absolutely is. And so as we go through, I want you to know that there's opportunity for questions. There's going to be some hot seat coaching. So this is all about being interactive. So just to get a feel for how you're currently feeling about your next level and what you're working towards in your business, I'd love for you to let me know in the chat. Are you A, I'm ready for my next level, but feel like something is currently holding me back? Are we B, I'm working toward my next level and not sure if I'm limiting myself or not? Or are we C, I'm actively taking scary action and I'm ready to be more unapologetically ambitious? Awesome. Oh, hi, Sinead. Nice to see you. Awesome. Okay, so I've got some C's. Awesome. So good. I've got some A's, got some B's. Amazing. So good. Beautiful mix of all three. And so hopefully today, my whole goal for today is to help support you in being more unapologetically ambitious and helping you step into your next level, right? Love it. Nice to see you, Lauren. Nice to see you, Vanessa. Awesome. Okay, so to get the most out of today, I want you to know, like, you've set aside this time, you are here with me here. So please make sure that you put aside any distractions, because in today's masterclass, we're going to be talking about what's going on internally, right? And so for you to be able to access and to uncover what might be holding you back, your presence is really needed. So if we're doing 50 million other things, it's very hard to access what's going on internally, right? We can't really pay attention to who we're currently being, or even unlocking any limiting beliefs or any locking and unlimiting some limiting behaviors if we're trying to still do 50 million things and keep your mind occupied elsewhere. So if you're here, please be here and have an open mind, because there might be things that challenge you today. There might be things that uncover a whole new level of, a behavior or a fear. And I do this with absolute love, right? I'm doing this with love because I want you to succeed. I want to see you win. I want to see you blow your own goddamn mind. I want you to be challenging yourself and stepping in and being like, holy crap, I can't believe I did that. right? Like after running the event in Brisbane here, for some of you that were there, which is amazing. Thank you for being part of Unstoppable Women back in August. After that, I was like, far out. It was such a whirlwind. I'm like, but I'm so proud of what I created. And also, like, you get to be proud of everything that you create. So, we're going to be diving into everything today, like taking the scary action, but acknowledging who you are as a person, right? Because there's certain things that you've done in your life that have been hard. And that we need to borrow the confidence and courage that you had to achieve those things to help you with your next level. Okay. So Lauren said, I'm right in the middle of a live launch and it's scary, but I'm doing it. Yes, Lauren, you're doing it. Exactly. So I love that. And so I want you to know that growth happens through our courageous self-reflection and radical honesty. So whenever we come to any form of coaching, any form of self-reflection or mindset work, we have to have the courage to look within, right? We have to be open. And we do this with curiosity. So that everything that we could dive into today, I want you to address with curiosity and zero judgment, right? When we do that, we're opening ourselves up to change and we're opening ourselves up for growth. What we judge, we repel. So if we're judging ourselves for not being the person we should be or not taking that action, we're really not going to grow through it. We want to be like, have full acceptance and be like, okay, that's interesting. Why did I do that? So with love and compassion, we're looking at it and being like, okay, I wonder why I did that. Because there's always a reason for our behavior, right? Love that. Love it, Sarah. So glad that that resonated with you. Amazing. So, for those of you I've never met before, my name is Christine Corcoran. I'm a business mindset coach and high ticket sales strategist. And I love working with service based women in business to help them move beyond where they are. So, moving beyond their current identity, moving beyond their current self sabotaging behaviors, moving beyond their current income, their current impact levels, and helping them take their business to the next level. So, as a master certified coach in NLP, embedding in hypnosis, human behavior, leadership, and executive coaching, plus all my sales experience, I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed with understanding what makes us tick, right? Why we do what we do, and really identifying what is our next level and who do we truly want to be and what gets in the way of that, right? And so I do that with a lot of change work with NLP, is really understanding the brain and what makes us tick and why we have certain patterns and why we follow certain patterns of behavior, and starting to break through any limitations, right? Because we are so much more capable than what we give ourselves credit for. So much more capable. And I remember being in the room with all these beautiful women at Unstoppable Women, and I was like, if you're looking at me on stage thinking, oh, I could never do that, but you've had a baby, that's not shouldn't even be a question. Like if you've had babies, like I've not had babies, like if that like the hardest fucking thing to do in your life and you're keeping a human alive, right? No matter what age they are, like you are capable of doing hard things. And even if you haven't had babies, I'm sure there's been certain things that you've done in your life that have been hard. And it's about how you acknowledge that, because it's how you borrow the courage and strength from your past and bring it into your future. Okay. Love it. Okay, so my agenda for today, we're going to dive into mindset, we're going to dive into self-sabotage, we're going to dive into identity work. So my goal for you today is to have the clarity and confidence to finally take up space and lead like the multi-six-figure CEO that you know that you can be or currently are. We're going to work at your powerful new identity, right? That naturally attracts high-level clients and income and impact because it's who you're being, right? It's a result of who you are being, right? Oh, sorry, my internet is playing opposite. Apologies. Hopefully it's okay. We're going to talk about creating unshakable confidence that quiets self-doubt and amplifies your impact, which again is coming back to your identity. And we're going to do some hot seat coaching and talk about next steps from here. So in this masterclass, you'll walk away with the clarity, confidence, and unshakable identity of a multi-six-figure CEO who's ready to claim her space, lead with unapologetic authority, attract high-level clients, and scale with ease, alignment, and flow. So that's a lot. Can I just say that? Like that's a lot. And I identify that that's a lot. But honestly, when you do the identity work, those things, the last piece is what I talk about in this sentence: claim her space, lead with unapologetic authority, attract high level clients, scale with ease, alignment, and flow. It honestly comes from you being your next level version of yourself. It is the identity, and that's the product of who you're being, right? Does that make sense? Is that making sense to people? Yeah, okay, cool. Awesome. Awesome, Sinead. So lovely that you're ready for it. So I want to dive into what does it mean to be unapologetically ambitious? Because I know that those terms can mean a lot to different people. And so I wanted to own what that meant for me and help you maybe go lean into this even a little bit further. Okay. So firstly, owning your desires out loud. Who here finds it really hard to even say what you want? And I think that sometimes it's also the people that we surround ourselves with, because if we're surrounded by people who don't really want a lot or are kind of happy with their everyday lives, that they're not really striving for much more, it can sometimes feel like it's not okay for us to share that we want more. And sometimes as women, we also find it really hard to actually go, well, actually, I'm grateful for what I have, which is amazing, and I want more. And that's okay to have different desires, right? So this is where we're no shrinking, no waiting for permission. We're being unapologetic in naming what we want without diluting it. Secondly, setting standards, not just boundaries, right? So knowing that your time, energy, and value is so important to you and you protect that fiercely. Communicating your opinion, unapologetic, right? Unapologetically communicating your opinion, standing in your perspective as a thought leader, taking bold, imperfect action, not waiting for the perfect plan or the perfect time, just moving first and refining as you go. This is honestly what I feel like it really means to be unapologetically ambitious, is just acting on it. I don't know all the answers. I don't know all the plan. I don't know all the steps, but I'm going to just take the next one and see what happens, right? And I think that when we have that beautiful relationship with ourselves, that we're not judging ourselves, we're not even judging whether it's a failure or a success, we're actually acknowledging our progress. We can have a beautiful relationship with ourselves and keep honoring that imperfect action. The next couple are celebrating your ambition. And I was doing this at the Unstoppable Women event, is like, let's celebrate our ambition, but celebrate our successes, celebrate our achievements, our accomplishments, and owning that, right? That helps support you to attract the right clients. It actually supports you to be the leader that you want to be. It actually supports you to achieve next level results because you are willing to be like, well, I've been able to achieve this, I can achieve that. So not seeing your drive as too much, but actually seeing it as your fuel for impact. I honor the fact that I'm a hard worker, but I'm not working beyond my boundaries. Does that make sense? So yes, there's going to be seasons of times where I am in high action states where I am doing a lot. And I might even, like, even I was saying on the podcast recently that I did actually work through some weekends in the lead up to my event because it was a huge event that I was putting on and I was willing to do that. And I was celebrating that because that was the season that I was in at the time. And now I don't have to do that. And that's awesome, right? Secondly, choosing your CEO energy over operator mode. This is honestly like a next level upgrade, which we're going to talk about today, leading the vision instead of just drowning in the weeds. And lastly, they're not caring about the opinions of others, especially those who don't have our best interests at heart. So I have 5 people that I look to in my life that I look to for opinions. One of them is always my ideal client, right? So I care about what they have to say. I want to listen to what they truly want and need. And I honor that with and giving feedback for my business. And there's other people that I really know that have my best interests at heart. But really, like, I'm not caring about what the people say on the internet. I'm not caring about what people who I know that don't have my best interests at heart. Or it's not even that. I just acknowledge that it's okay for other people to have different opinions. I don't have to take it on board. I get to choose that. And so being unapologetically ambitious is like, cool. Like, actually, a couple of weeks ago, I got feedback from someone. And they're not a client and just an acquaintance. But I know them, like I know them, I wouldn't call them a friend just yet, but like acquaintance, right? So we've met a few different times and they gave me feedback on something and I was like, okay, would I like to receive this? Because you get to choose. You absolutely get to choose. So I was like, I'm going to choose parts of this. I'm going to take this on board, but I'm going to leave the rest because I can tell that that's not my stuff. And I don't have to take it on board if it doesn't feel right for me. So this is what I mean by being unapologetically ambitious. That you're so grounded in who you are that you don't have to look externally for that validation. You don't have to look externally and take on board all that feedback. Okay. So Lauren just said, my family are the worst at this. Not hubby, but sister and mum. I feel like I always have to justify my business to them. It fucking shits me. So stop fucking justifying it. Stop it. Like, you do not need to justify it. But honestly, sometimes what we do is we look to those people that are important in our lives, right? Who are forms of authority in our lives too. And we look to them for that validation or approval. You do not have to do it when you learn to give it to yourself, right? And if you know it, like, one of the biggest things, like, if you know that's the relationship that you have and that's the behavior that follows, stop looking in the wrong places for what you need. So surround yourself with other people that will give you what you need as well. Love that. Hope that's okay that I share that. Awesome, Lauren. Okay. All right. So what it's not, I just want to touch on a couple of things of what it's not, because I know sometimes it can be like, yeah, that sounds all great, but what if it's not? All right. Being reckless or burning out, right? I'm not doing the things of taking massive action, but it at the cost of my well-being, right? The cost of other things that are important to me. Ambition doesn't mean running yourself into the ground.
It's just like how we balance the masculine and feminine in our business, because the masculine is go, 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 push, 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 do, do, do. But when we have the feminine, we're able to do it from a place of alignment and flow rather than from a place of push, right? It's very different. Secondly, tearing others down or stepping on others to rise. It's not that. I just want to highlight that because sometimes the word ambition has that attached. It's not that. Apologizing for wanting more. Again, we don't have to justify our dreams. Maybe we actually already got to that, Lauren. We don't have to justify what it is that we want. And other people don't necessarily always get our ideas or our concepts or our passions, and that's okay. They don't have to. Lastly, valuing money, success, or status above empathy, care, and fulfillment. That's important to me. I wanted to add this, that I am always in integrity with what I do within my business, and I'm not going to value money, success, or status above caring about other people, about integrity, and lastly, fulfillment, right? I still need to be fulfilled in what it is that I do in my ambition and not just doing it just for the money. Does that make sense? Cool. Amazing. So I know all of this is like easier said than done. So I know, like, as I'm going through all of this, you're like, yep, that's amazing, awesome. But what does that even mean? And how does that apply to me? So when you think about yourself, what do you think gets in the way of you being unapologetically ambitious? With everything that I've just shared so far, if you feel comfortable, I'd love for you to share in the chat. What do you think gets in the way of you being unapologetically ambitious? Rachel's just straight up, me. I'm the problem. It's me. Yeah, I get it. Absolutely right. Madeline said perfectionist thoughts. Yep, affecting my confidence. Yep. Susan said in the past it's been family social biases. Yep. Sinead said fear of the unknown. Yep. People not understanding my goals. Okay. Jess said being mostly a stay-at-home mom, I find it really hard to find the time. Yep, absolutely. Imposter syndrome, said Mel. Criticism, crystallizing my goals. Yeah. So all of that for sure. And it's always the same, right? It's fear. Some of it's fear, some of it's time, fear of judgment of like, okay, if I actually went fully in here, what would people think and say? Being able to really honor like your goals and crystallizing your goals. And sometimes it's even fear of like even just saying out loud, this is what I want. Could be confidence, could be fear of change. There's so many elements. And I think this is what it's so individual. And this whole session today, I'm going to share with you some things that might align and might not be, but this is because it's about you uncovering what it is for you. Because every individual person is so unique. You've had your own life experiences, you've had your own upbringing, your own education, your own faith, like all the things that make you who you are is so unique to you. So it's not like I'm going to say it's these 5 things. I would never do that because it's actually going to be so unique to you. Okay. Lauren said transitioning from face to face to online and scaling that. Yeah. In the past, it's listening to other people's crap. Now it's breaking free from that. Yes, love that, Vanessa. Love it. Love it, ladies. Sarah said, stepping into my next level, the unknown. Yeah, we have to take the leap before we know what the landing looks like. Thousand percent. Yes. Susan said, being able to balance being a parent and building a business. I can be much more unapologetically ambitious now. My kids are grown. Love that. My husband is also unwavering support and belief in me. Oh, I love that. So nice. So good to have that support. Amazing. So, yes, it's easier said than done, and all of the things that you just shared, absolutely all of the things. And I will also add, there's a couple of other things that are underlying this as well, right? Societal norms, what it means, like what the labels that we have on ourselves and what's expected of us sometimes play into this, and our subconscious ability to move through that fear and take the unapologetic action. People pleasing, right? The perfectionism piece, even conditioning of what it means to be a woman, right? This honestly plays into it of what it's, whether it's safe, whether it's okay for us to be ambitious, to be opinionated, to be really owning who we are and being okay with sharing that with the world, right? There's so much societal conditioning of what it means to be a woman, what it means to be a wife, it means to be a mother, a sister, all of those things. Years of scarcity conditioning as well, right? The money mindset stuff comes into it. We're stepping into our next level. That's the scarcity conditioning plays in, or societal conditioning of success and wealth, right? Is it okay for me to want these things? Shouldn't I be just grateful for what I have? This is honestly, men don't think that. Can I just say that? Men don't think that. But why do women think it? I should just be grateful for what I've got. I've got everything I need. I shouldn't want any more. Why? And it's just conditioning. It's programming that we have in our subconscious mind. So, firstly, what I wanted to touch on before we dive into unpacking our current identity and starting to figure out who we need to become in the process of stepping into our next level. Yeah, so yeah, Susan just said working in government for so long, I was adept at asking. However, once money transactions came into it alongside scarcity conditioning, it got hard to ask, right? Like, isn't it interesting? So interesting. And this is why I'm like, approach it with curiosity, because we're all going to have different conditioning. We're all going to have different programming from our past that plays into how we then be in our business now. So as we start to dive into this, I just want to say one thing. What you have created so far in your life, in your business, is incredible. You must acknowledge that, because we are, as we talk about our past selves and we talk about our future selves, we're not judging the past version of ourselves. She did the best she could with what she had, and she got us to where we are right now. And that is incredible. Okay. This is not about shaming the old version of ourselves. It's about understanding and being curious of what results we've achieved and how our conditioning and programming has impacted who we are now, what we've created, and being curious to be like, cool, now where do I want to go and who do I want to be in order to achieve those next level results? Right? Love and compassion, acknowledge, and then work towards the future of it, right? If we judge it, we also hold on to it, right? If we judge like, oh, I shouldn't be that way, or that's just my perfectionism, like if we judge it, we hold on to it. Whereas we want to have love and compassion and curiosity, be like, isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting that I do that? Isn't that interesting that that's where my brain goes? Isn't that interesting that that's really important to me, or that's the habit that I have, or that's the behavior that I have? Never with judgment. Okay. I just want to say that because it's so important. Whenever I hear anyone doing this type of identity work, I've just heard in the coaching space before that people like they're judging them past selves. You should never judge your past self. You did the best you could, and it's incredible what you've created so far, and you have the potential to make change. Awesome. Okay. So, first things first, next level results requires a whole new version of you. So, acknowledging how we've created the results that we've achieved so far, and if they're less than desirable, that's okay. We're going to acknowledge that, again, we created those results and we get to change. And if you've created incredible results so far, also amazing you, that's incredible. And if you have goals to work towards a new level, again, we need to look at what is it within us that's created those results and what needs to change in order to us to achieve it. So a lot happens as we start to grow and scale our businesses, and we start to step into next versions of ourselves. We start to be different versions of ourselves. And so if we are not consciously aware of who we're being, then we end up just defaulting to the old version of ourselves, right? Because our brain loves to just follow patterns. So just to give you a simple example of this, often when we start our businesses, we become a founder, right? And we start with doing all the things ourselves, wearing all the hats, being all of everything what our business needs. We're doing all the operation parts of our business. We're still doing all the delivery for our clients all day, every day. We're doing every single part. We're the accountant, we're the marketer, we're the salesperson. Like we're doing absolutely everything. And often we can get caught up in being short-term focused. So what has to happen this month and next month versus next year? They often are seeing themselves just, and I say that in air quotes, just as a business owner. What needs to change in order to scale? We need to start seeing ourselves as the CEO. And this is where it starts to also like feel a little bit uncomfortable. So it's okay if there's even some of these terms feel like very far from where you are right now, that's okay. The next level CEO is the visionary of a bigger mission, a visionary of that next scale of growth within your business. And that doesn't have to be anything other than what you deem success to be. Okay, I just want to highlight that. This doesn't mean you have to 20x your business results to be the CEO. No, you get to choose. It's a CEO, firstly, is a mindset, right? Yes, obviously you change the term or director or whatever it might be, the terminology title you give yourself in your business. But the way that I'm looking at this, firstly, is just the identity of being the CEO. The CEO is the visionary, focused on long-term growth and sustainability of the business, has a bigger mission for the business, is leading themselves and others. They identify the influence that they have over themselves and of the business results and of the clients and of the audience. You're seeing yourself as a leader and you're leading, not just following. And they drive the business forward, right? This is a simple just starting point of like, okay, who am I currently being? Am I being the founder, or am I really stepping in and owning the fact that I am the CEO of this business? And it's starting to like, even if you don't have team, like I know a lot of you have teams, so that's amazing. Is that to see like, okay, I'm driving and I'm the one that's leading, like guiding the ship. But even if you're not there just yet, you may have, even if you've got contractors, you are still leading the ship, right? So it's like, how are you acting and behaving and being in your business on a regular basis to serve the growth of the business? All right. So what's in the gap from current you to future you? So whether you're founder to CEO, or even just like where you currently are to where you want to be, all the fun things, fear of success, fear of failure, not feeling good enough, worrying about whether you're able to achieve that next level, not feeling ready, right? There's always, I honestly see this so much when it comes to people needing to hire and start to bring in more team. I don't feel ready. I don't even have the income for it to make it happen. But sometimes we have to take that leap before we even have the income ready. Perfectionism, doubt or fear, people pleasing, over delivering, undercharging, worrying about judgment, staying small and silent, not going after opportunities, stuck consuming and getting ready to be ready. All right. These are just some of the things. And again, take them with a grain of salt. We're going to get a little bit deeper in this. And I just want you to start identifying, like, does that make sense? Is that, can you find the separation in your mind of like where you've currently been or where you currently are, thinking about like that next level version of yourself of who you want to be? Because this is the power of your subconscious mind. We are like, often we go, well, what are the results that I want? And what are the action steps that I have to take? But I like to think about it in reverse. What are the thoughts that I need to be thinking on a regular basis that drives the emotions, right? How do I want to feel in order for me to be able to take the actions? Because emotion drives action. You don't take an action without feeling something, right? And that even could be a non-action. It could be procrastination, right? So we feel something and then we take an action and then that determines our results. So if we want to change our results, we have to take a next step first and be like, okay, what are the regular thoughts that I'm having? What's the mindset that I have about this? And how is that then driving how I'm feeling? What are the irregular emotions that I'm having? And how is that supporting the actions? And all of this is informed by our identity, by our programming, by who we believe we are. Okay. If this is a new concept, this might feel like so like making your brain go, oh, this is like what? It's okay. We're going to keep moving through this. And if, it might not be new to you. You might be like, oh, yeah, I've heard this before. Cool. Awesome. Let's take it to the next level and go, well, how is that actually impacting our results? When we have our current identity, we are living into the version of ourselves of who we believe we are because your brain wants you to stay safe. Your brain wants you to be the version of yourself because that's current, that's your, how do I explain this? Like, who you are being feels safe because it has a level of certainty because you've done certain things before and your brain wants you to stay safe. I'm going to dive into this a little bit further. But what makes up our current identity, right? Which then informs the thoughts that we have on a regular basis, the emotions that we have on a regular basis, and then the actions, the habits, the behaviors, the things that we do on a regular basis then creates our results. Our current identity is everything from our upbringing, our education, our current values, our belief systems, our family dynamics, the religion, our culture, our hopes and dreams, our fears and our doubts, our memories, all past experiences, what others have said about us. Like if anyone's ever said to you, oh, you're really good at that, your subconscious mind takes it on board and be like, oh, actually, yeah, I am really good at that. Or someone judges you and like, you're a perfectionist. Oh my God, I'm going to label that. And that's going to be part of who I am now. It's part of my identity, right? But really, it's just a form of behavior. It's just certain behaviors that we follow in a pattern and we do on a regular basis. And so we want to identify, like, is that currently serving us? And even our current environment. So music, TV, the things that we consume become part of who we are, right? And so we want to identify, cool, like if our identity has currently created the results that we've achieved, who do I need to become in order to create next level results? And I will say our subconscious mind is not on the side of growth. It actually doesn't want you to change. Your subconscious mind, its whole purpose, your brain's whole intention is to keep you safe and to preserve energy so you stay alive. So how it does that, it preserves energy through repeating the same patterns, patterns of thought, patterns of emotion, patterns of behavior. And it keeps you safe by determining when you're in danger. So it's highlighting when you're in danger. And then it's going in a millisecond. You're stepping into something you've never done before. Your brain in a millisecond goes, have I experienced this before? And it goes through like all your memories and all of your past experiences. And if you've got something similar where you've done that before and it was dangerous, your brain goes, like, alarm goes off. Oh, no, don't do that. That's dangerous, right? And danger in this day and age could be judgment, rejection. It could be something not working out, failure. It could be even success because it's something unknown, right? So we want to acknowledge that our brain isn't going to want us to take scary action, right? That's why we have fear of the unknown, because it's so scary because there's no certainty. So it's looking to everything you've ever experienced and going, okay, this next thing that I'm going to do, is there any form of certainty here? And if there's none, your brain goes into a state of fear. So I want you to identify this. And so it's like being the version of you, your identity, it will always act in accordance with that identity because that has proof that it's safe, even if you're not happy with your current results. But it's still safe. because you've got evidence from the past that you've done it before and you know the outcomes, even if they're sucky outcomes, right? So we want to identify like our current identity is a form of safety. It's a form of who we know we are and what's possible for us to be who we are, right? And what outcomes are created by that. So again, we want to honor our past selves. There's no judgment here. We want to have a choice to expand. So when we're choosing to expand, we're choosing to identify that fear is going to be part of the process and that our brain is not going to want us to change. It follows patterns and behaviors. And we want to identify what are those patterns and behaviors because we can interrupt them and we can change them to become a new version of ourselves, right? I used to identify as being a people pleaser, but I now no longer do that. I used to identify as being a rescuer. Literally would rescue people in my personal life, in like, past boyfriends that I'm like, God, why did I pay for all of that stuff? Why did I let them move in? Like all of these things that I recognize as who I was, but I identified the behaviors, identified which ones weren't serving me and changed them. I now do not identify as being a people pleaser. I now honor and have great relationships with my clients and with the people that I surround myself with clear boundaries, right? So I identified that what had gotten me to where I was, okay, that happens, but what's going to get me to where I want to be is not that. So I had to identify what behavior wasn't serving me in order for me to move forward into creating a new behavior, a new way of being. Does that make sense? This resonating? Yeah, awesome. Okay. So today we're identifying your current threshold, your current capacity, your current results. And also, who do you want to be? What's the new level? What's the new identity you want to be, right? Love it, Vanessa. I love that it's resonating. So Rachel just said, my brain told me to get a casual job because it's scared of the financial state I'm currently in and knew it was a saboteur mindset talking. Yeah, right. It's absolutely fear is going to show up and it wants you to protect you. It's just a form of protection, right? And that will show up in all different forms, right? So we've got to identify like, how do I identify whether it's fear and I need to take care of myself and do things that, to improve my situation, or am I needing to take scary action, even with the fear there? Okay. So identify your current identity. We need to then look at what do we need to dissolve. So we dissolve any limiting beliefs, fears, or self-sabotaging patterns. And then we step into identifying that next level version of ourselves and embody that next level version. We've got to take the scary action to create new proof that it's safe for us to do these things. So once we dissolve, we replace it with new belief systems that actually serve us, and then move towards becoming that new version of ourselves. So current results, current behaviors, current identity. We're going to start here. So I'd love for you to grab a pen and paper. And I want you to ask yourself, what are my current results? And you don't have to share it, but I want you to share, like even just write it down for yourself. Like if you take one or two of your main results in your current business and go, what are the current behaviors that create that result? And we're starting to just ease into uncovering our current identity. Okay. And again, zero judgment, just curiosity to be like, oh, I've got this result because this is what I do on a regular basis. This is my current behaviors. And again, please try to avoid letting your brain judge you for it, because it will, if that's a pattern of behavior that you have in the past. I've cultivated a really positive cheerleader for my inner mindset, for that inner dialogue, but it took time. So if you're not fully there yet, you might be halfway there, but you can cultivate a really positive, like you focus on your progress and you can identify where you want to change without the judgment. Then we're going to go with my current identity. If you think about those results, what are my current beliefs about business, about money, about success, or about yourself that is feeding into that? And usually you can come up with these beliefs by just asking yourself, and notice what your brain throws at you first start. What do I believe about business in relation to this result? So let's say like you maybe set an income goal last month and you didn't hit it. Okay, what do I have beliefs about business about that result? And your brain will throw it at you. You'll be like, oh, business is hard. Or everyone else gets the results, but I don't. Like it'll be something there. So interesting. Jessica, thank you so much for sharing. This is such a beautiful example, and I hope you don't mind me sharing it. Jess said, result, business is continuing to grow, but so are the expenses. So I'm struggling to make a profit. The behaviors, inconsistent follow-up with clients, struggling to complete, switching off completely when I'm at home with my daughter. Beliefs, I don't think my business can hit 7 figures, thinking I need to change what I'm doing. So isn't that really interesting? Again, absolute curiosity. If I held a belief system that I don't think I can hit 7 figures, wouldn't it be natural? So if that's the identity that you're currently holding, you're going to act in accordance with that identity. So then you're going to sabotage by not paying attention to the money, not following up, not looking at the expenses, not looking at your profitability, because then that's going to create the result that you then live into, which then confirms your current belief. Does that make sense? I don't think you've got your camera on. I like looking for your face. And again, just curiosity from a place of like, isn't that interesting? And it just is a safeguard. It's a protection mechanism, right? So if you flipped it and you actually believe that you can hit seven figures, what would you do differently? What would the behaviors be that would be different? What would the belief be that would be different? Right? So we will currently live into our identity based on who we believe we are. And that's safeguarding. It's just a subconscious mind trying to keep you safe, right? And so as you go through this, you're like, okay, so what are the beliefs I have about business? What's the beliefs I have about money? What's the belief I have about success? What's the belief I have about myself in relation to that result? And that will start to show you any of those self-sabotaging behaviors, which we're going to go through in a sec, but any of just the belief systems that are currently limiting you. It's so funny, actually, when you have that. So just added, I had a successful business friends of mine say it was small money, and I've been stuck since, right? It's so interesting because like when you start to create an opportunity for you to be around other people that are achieving next level results like yourself, you will start to see different mindsets that people will address. I remember having a conversation with someone at an event that I went to last year, and she was talking about how she was doing 100K months and the challenges that she was having as a leader. And the conversation that I had around it was so fascinating that I was like, isn't that interesting the way that she thinks about money and the way that she thinks about leading this type of sale, this type of level of business? And it's interesting because like you get to choose what you respond to that. You can be like, isn't it? Because even actually when I read that first piece, what came to my mind is like, well, we need to be across our expenses, but we need to make sure that we're across our profit. And we need to be starting to see like this is just the normal next stage of business growth, because the problems and challenges that show up for us at different stages of business are opportunities for you to evolve, right? Because you've got to evolve as the business owner of like how you handle different challenges as you go. But they're showing up because it's identifying where you're currently self-sabotaging, right? So these are just normally part of business. I remember talking to a client of mine actually 6 months ago, and she was having heaps of problems with a warehouse that she had. And I was like, have you had any other conversations with other people that have warehouses? And she's like, no, actually. I was like, what if this is actually just a normal part of handling a warehouse, but we look at it as a problem because we think it's just us? It's never just you. It's never just you. And so you surround yourself with other people living at the same stage of growth of you, you'll start to see like, oh, this is just my next growth area. Right? I just need to get better at this. I need to get better at managing my money. I need to get better at the way that I look at success. I need to get better at the way that I show up and share online. I need to get better at leadership. There's just new challenges that come our way, but how you approach it is all the difference, right? Love it. Okay. So at the end of the day, your current identity has your comfort zone, right? Your comfort zone is where you feel competent and where you're confident in what it is that you're doing. So you want to acknowledge like that's actually where you currently feel safe. Does that make sense? So when we're stepping outside of what we currently know, it feels scary because there's a level of your brain going, I'm not sure if this is safe. But the more that we can be conscious of the fact that, oh, that's natural for my brain to do that. It's scared, right? Because I've never done this before. But I've got to keep taking this scary action in order for me to create new evidence that it's absolutely safe for me to take the next step. The more that you do things, the more you're like, oh, like now that I've run this event at this scale, I'm like, 100% I could do it again next time. But I had massive anxiety 2 weeks before the event, right? Because it was all new. So you want to acknowledge like it's natural for our brains to want us to stay safe, to stay comfortable in our comfort zone. And actually, I saw a video this morning of, I think it was Gary Vee. I need to share it on my story. I'll have to go find it. And he was having conversations with new level entrepreneurs, like early stage. And he was like getting these really random questions. And he's like, you have chosen a life of the 1%, of the 1% of people that want to be an entrepreneur and run a business. And you don't think it's hard? You don't think it should be hard? Of course it should be fucking hard, right? But we go, oh, but it's scary, it's uncomfortable, I've never done it before, I don't know what's gonna happen. Yeah, cool. That's what you've signed up for. But it's like, how do we get our brain to support us rather than tear us down, right? We are so brave. Yes, Lauren, you are so brave. And so you need to remind yourself of that on a regular basis and that it's natural for you to feel scary. And I even had like when Erica was speaking at the event that I ran recently, she was like, every time I get a comment from someone saying, you're killing it. And she's like, yeah, but I'm dying. Right? She kept talking about this. Like, you guys don't understand. Like, yes, it's still scary. We're still having uncomfortable feelings. And it's about how you manage your stress, how you manage your mind through the process of taking scary action. So if we think about our current results or a current result of who we are being, and the habits and standards that we currently have for ourselves, we can start to identify what needs to change. Okay. So I want you to start to think about what your next level is. Have you defined what your next level is for 2026? And I want you just to write down, say, 2 to 3 things of what you would want to have happen at your next level. And just as a reminder, this is a 75-minute masterclass, just in case you're thinking it's 60 and it'll finish at 60. No, I will go to quarter past. So any of you have been a part of anything, I always make sure that I'm over delivering. So Jess said 20K months consistently. Yep, love it. So define your next level. 2 or 3 things that you would like to achieve at your next level. Or if you could just put a done in the chat so I know to keep moving, so I know. So Melissa said, delegate and focus on longer term business goals. Love it. That's the CEO. Yes, love it. Rachel said, debt free, 5K months consistently, 2 overseas trips booked. Amazing. You might need more than 5K. Don't know about. Lauren said, 30 new clients in online, 3 corporates. Build team by 1. Love it. Sinead said, multi 6 figures, 300K plus, more team, more travel, more time with the kids. Love it. Madeline said, feel confident in my ability, build a customer base. Yeah, I would even encourage you, Madeline, to get even clearer on that. Like, what is the number that you have around the customer base that you truly want? Because if we're unclear or vague with what our next level is, we get vague results. Okay. Okay. So from there, let's just unlock where we're currently playing small. Okay. And I'm going to challenge you a little bit here. So Vanessa said, consistently showing up as my full self, 7K months. Amazing. So I'm going to challenge you. And it's going to feel uncomfortable and it's going to put your brain into a state of fear. Okay. That's okay. But we're just going to hold space for it and we're going to pay attention to what our brain does to us, right? Because your brain, again, remember, it wants you to play safe. It wants you to be comfortable and wants you to do what you've always done. But you know that's not how you're going to get to your next level. So we want to unlock where we're currently playing small. So I'm going to challenge you, but I'm just going to say, I want you to take those current goals and I want you to times them by 10 right now. And I want you to write down everything your brain throws at you. If you thought that that was your goal that you need to work towards next month, next year, what is your brain going to throw at you? Yep. Once it says, holy shit, or get fucked, keep going, stay with it. What does your brain throw at you? If that was your actual goal, right? Or automatically Rachel's like, nah, no way, right? You're already limiting yourself. You're already saying that's not even possible for me, right? But I want you just to stay with it. Just write down what your brain throws at you. Again, curiosity, don't judge it. Just write down what your brain throws at you. Lauren's questioning it. Is it actually possible for me? Vanessa said, no, no, no. Rachel said 500K months. Yeah. So if you thought about it this, right? And I want you to challenge yourself and everyone that's sitting here. If that was your actual goal, what does your brain throw at you? If you were actually working towards that, can you see where you're like, it's just starting to identify, if I was actually going for that, what actions would I be taking? What would I be doing differently? How would I be showing up? What would I be expecting of myself? It's only when we take this huge leap that it makes our brain think differently. Because remember, our brain wants us to keep staying the same. So it will go, well, I'm just going to keep doing what I've always done, right? But that's not going to get us the results that we want. So we've got to aim for the moon to land on the stars. So Sinead said 600K is the goal. Yep, that's a huge leap. That is so unachievable. Says who, right? How do I break that down more? What do I need to do to make it this achievable? Imagine my life then, right? It's so funny, like see the emotional roller coaster in your brain, you know? So good. So when we start to go, okay, if I was working towards, that was your actual goal, Sinead, what would you be doing on a regular basis that's different to what you're doing now? So even if anyone had goals around like hiring team, like imagine if you were to hire 10 team, what would your brain throw at you, right? Even if you were to pitch to 20 more people versus the 5 that you had, or 200, like if you had lead gen, like your customer base, like whatever that throws at you, like what would you be doing at that level? It's making sense. If it's uncomfortable, a little bit, if it's not making sense, it's okay. We're going to get through this. More networking events, more networking and events, more team members, thinking bigger, more coaching clients. Yep, love it. Lauren said, that's what I was thinking. Shit, bring on 10 team. What the fuck, right? But it also shows you where we need to grow. It is showing you like, okay, I need these systems in place, or I need this type of onboarding process, or I need to actually have team to manage that number of clients. Like it starts to show you this stuff, right? Oh, this is so good, Melissa. Melissa said, not sweating the small stuff. 1000%. We are focused on sometimes the wrong things, right? So The fear that shows up at that level, or even the limitation that shows up at that level, is actually what's often causing us to play small at our current level. And so we're just identifying it and helping us see where we're self-sabotaging, right? So let's talk about a couple of self-sabotages. Now, there's not all of them here. I'm just going to, before I go into the slide, I'm going to share with you some of the self-sabotage that I see at this stage of growth when we're starting to scale, right? So this is for women in business that I see that are working towards multi-six figures to seven figures, right? And so some of these will show up for you at earlier stages if you're earlier stage, but there's not going to be every single self-sabotage because if I don't have a year to sit with you because everyone's so individual, I'm going to share with you a couple and I want you to identify if any of these are showing up for you. But hopefully with that 10x, it helps you start to see like, oh, I am actually playing small. I'm not really owning my authority. I'm not really showing up and sharing my opinion. I'm not really being consistent in these areas where I need to be. I'm not really leading or I'm not paying attention to my finances, like all these different things that show up for us. So I'm going to share with you a couple. One could be ghosting your audience. Maybe every time imposter syndrome kicks in, like, oh, I can't share that. I couldn't share that level of my opinion. Or what will people think if I shared that? Overcomplicating everything because simplicity still feels too easy to trust. It's a really interesting one that I see at this stage of growth where it's like, oh, it shouldn't be that easy. But you've worked so long in your business that you've now should have results coming through without you having to work so hard for it. Possibly delaying launching something. So it could be a new program, a new offering, endlessly tweaking the offer that's already good enough. Downplaying your success, maybe because you're afraid of being too much for people, not talking about your accomplishments, your successes, what you've achieved with certain results that you've worked with, the types of brands that you've worked with or companies that you've worked with that you know that will help you claim your authority, but you're scared of what that would mean or look like, what that would look like. Saying yes to low-level clients. I see this all the time. People get so stuck in like just serving the people that come to you referral wise instead of truly owning a niche that you really want to be known for. Or you keep accepting less than what you deserve is another way to put that, right? So clients that don't value what you do, clients that push your boundaries, that don't respect your boundaries, that don't pay on time, like all those types of things. Waiting to feel ready instead of trusting what you already know. Procrastinating. I love this one for my designers. Spending hours just working on your graphics or stuff behind the scenes, updating websites, updating pretty graphics, which actually isn't growing your business, right? It's something that maybe your team should be doing or you should be outsourcing, not where you should be spending your time, right? Comparing your behind the scenes to everyone else's highlight reel. I hate this one. It sucks. And I know that we all do it. But we see other people's successes and then be like, oh, but why doesn't mine feel so hard? It's only because it's the highlight reel. It's still hard for them, right? You're just only seeing what they want you to see. Undercharging or pricing from fear is another one instead of owning your value, especially if you've been in business for a good 5 to 10 years. Usually I see this where they're like staying what we feel is comfortable in the market of where we're getting lots of yeses instead of truly stepping into owning your authority at that stage of growth and charging what you should be charging. Yeah. Okay, so some of these are resonating. Yep, so this is me. I feel like a hassle if I follow up sometimes, or I'd flip that, Lauren, and be like, it's actually showing that you don't care if you don't follow up. Yeah. Susan said, I downplay my success in some ways, yet I could own my value more. Love that. Ignoring what's working because it doesn't feel big enough just yet. Which is a really interesting one. Like, I feel like this shows up of like, people almost like downplay the growth or the progress that they've had because they feel like they have to keep working hard to prove their value or prove their worth. Or even going, oh, I should have more signups here. This should be better instead of actually really truly looking at what's working and what's not working and looking at the data that your business is giving you. Waiting for permission instead of just deciding that you're already enough and just owning it, right? I see this a lot with Australians and New Zealanders. It's a little bit of the tall poppy coming in to be like, instead of just waiting for other people to give you the word expert, start saying it yourself or start just owning your space and being like, I am the best at this. People need to work with me because of these reasons, right? Starting to really own that space. People pleasing or over delivering, or they kind of feed into each other. No boundaries with your clients or with yourself. Ignoring the data of your business. When you scale, your data is incredibly important. If you're not paying attention to your data and looking at, it's usually where the biggest gaps are, where we're not highlighting the gaps and working from strategy instead of just winging it. Getting stuck in the operator instead of the CEO. So where you are comfortable and confident in serving your clients when you know we actually have hired team to help you with that, but you're like, oh, I'll do it myself. It's quicker. I'll do it myself. I'll be better at it. That's actually your gap of where you should be stepping in and being the leader and actually training them effectively. And I see this with leaders where they go, oh, I'll just do that. They take it off the team member's plate and they busy themselves with stuff that they feel more confident in instead of actually going, well, no, that's actually what you need to be doing, and like being really clear on their job roles and you really clear on your CEO role, right? So starting to really step in and own that space as a CEO. So I want you to identify if there's any one of these specifically for you, or if there's another one that we identified earlier. I want you to pinpoint one and we're going to take it through, okay, as we go through this next piece. So I want you just to pinpoint one of these that shows up for you. Love that, Lauren. So good. All good, Rachel. So many of them. If you could choose one that shows up for you the most, that you feel like is like, oh, if I got rid of that, that'd be pretty good. Sinead said, downplaying your success, the companies you've worked for, the brands you've supported. Yeah, love that. Cool. So I want you to identify one of these behaviors, and we're going to take you through this next questioning process, okay? Everyone got one? All right. So I want you to ask yourself with true curiosity and self-reflection, why do I do that behavior? Why do I do that behavior? When did it start? Have I always done it? Have I always downplayed my success? Have I always people pleased? Have I always been the perfectionist? Have I always shied away from sharing my light? Or is it something that you've learned later in life? Where did it come from? I remember having a client that had had a really bad experience as an employee in a business. And so she shied away from being a leader in her business because she didn't want to be that type of leader, right? Because it was something that happened in her adult years where she was like, oh, I was treated so badly. I don't want to have to be that type of boss. But that then made her be the complete opposite. And she was actually not leading. She was being walked all over from her team, right? So we needed to identify that self-sabotaging behavior and where it came from. So why do you do that behavior? And what would it mean to you to not do that behavior anymore? Like, what would be possible for you if you stopped doing that behavior? Yes, as Jess said, avoiding the data, I rely on my husband to do it, just hoping it'll all work out. I feel like I'm bad at math. Where does that come from? Have you been told you're bad at math? I was told I was bad at math in high school, and that affected the way that I started to like look at my numbers until I started to own it and be like, hang on a minute, if I want to be the CEO of my business, I'm going to have to know my data. So even like it's a reason why I'm highlighting this is because you want to be conscious of where it's come from so you can work through moving beyond it, right? Your subconscious mind is protecting you. At the end of the day, that's all it's doing. It's protecting you from a fear of, right? It's either, I don't want that to happen again. That's a horrible experience. I don't want that to possibly happen. Or if there's fear of the unknown, fear of judgment, like, or it's just a behavior that you've learned, right? People pleasing, I learned from my mum. It was just something she always did. So I learned it. It was a behavior that was modeled to me, right? Madeline said, staying small was a way to keep myself safe and avoid criticism, judgment, and jealousy. 1,000%, right? So we want to identify, cool, that was what's kept me safe and in the past, right? Self-protection, it kept me safe in the past. What can I separate from here, from who I am now? Is that still keeping me safe or is it keeping me small? And then start to identify where you can start to just take small little steps to create new evidence that it's actually going to be safe and you will still be able to avoid certain level of criticism, judgment, or jealousy, right? But also that's other people's shit. I just want to say that, right? That's other people's stuff. So we need to have at some point an awareness and a decision that we go, well, I'm not going to do that anymore. I need to create new proof that it's safe for me to continue to move forward and not play small anymore. Once we start to identify this, we want to start to look at what the opposite needs to be. Who do I want to be? Who is my future self that no longer has that behavior? What's the opposite? Because your brain will always focus on the past. It'll always go, well, that's the proof that I have. I'm going to keep doing that behavior because I know there's certainty and I know there's safety in that. But I identify that that's not going to help me grow. It's not going to get me to where I want to be. So I need to define who I want to be on the opposite. Because often sometimes like Madeline, like if you think about, well, that was a way to keep me playing safe and avoid criticism, judgment, and jealousy. But I identify that it's causing me to play small now. What could the opposite be? So it's also causing me to, like, what comes to mind for me is like, well, it's also not allowing me to experience positive things around playing bigger, right? So it's avoiding better results that I want to have or great relationships or connection or positive feedback because I'm so fearful of the criticism. I'm not even opening myself up to the growth that could happen from the feedback that I get. Right? Feedback in scaling, honestly, is like the most important piece. You need to actually improve parts of your process, your program, your team, like every part of it. You need the feedback. So we're missing out on so much goodness. So we want to acknowledge like what could be possible if I let go of that behavior And what is the possible positive outcome that could happen as I start to step in to be a different version of myself? So I want you to think about your future self and go, who is she without that old behavior? What does she value? What is she capable of? What does she prioritize? And how does she show up? Because the more that we can create a new complete picture of the person that we want to be, we will start acting as if and start to lean into being that version of ourselves. Right? The brain needs some type of like our imagination is so good for us to start to do the things we've never done before. So if you can imagine it, your brain feels safer to work towards it. So even like I think it was Sinead that was saying like this fear of the unknown, wasn't it? Was it you, Sinead? Yeah. So the more that you can create visual representation or just visualizations of your next level, like I spoke about this actually at the Unstoppable Women event, I visualized every single part of that day. So on the day I actually didn't have a lot of anxiety or fear. It was really interesting that I was like, oh, I know what happens next because I've played it out in my mind. Your brain doesn't know the difference between real and imaginary. So the more that you imagine it, the more you can see yourself taking the action, the more likely it is that your body and your brain will act in accordance with that new identity. Yeah. So we need to define your future self. Love it, Lauren. Yes, journaling on it is also really helpful too. So current identity, we currently have our beliefs about who we are, about business success and money, past and current results, where we spend our current time, where we feel confident, how we show up in our visibility, our personal habits, our standards, what we perceive about ourselves, and how we think others perceive us, right? That's our current identity. But who's your future identity? Who do you need to become? When you think about your next level, who do you need to become in order to have those results? I want to take a couple of moments here for you to start to write down a couple of things. Who is that next level version of yourself? Who is she? Who is she being? What does she value? What does she prioritize? What are the standards that she holds for herself? What are her natural habits, her everyday habits? How does she show up? What does she do for herself? How does she take care of herself? How does she perceive herself as a leader? That was one of the biggest shifts for me, for my identity. It was like I used to have old, outdated thoughts around what it meant to be a leader because I come from corporate. So it was like the whole, oh, some old white dude in an ivory tower telling me what to do. Whereas like I needed to build a new picture of what CEO meant for me. I needed to build a new picture of what a leader is someone who has influence and get to choose how you want to use that influence. I needed to see myself as being the leader. I remember when COVID happened, I made a decision. I was like, who are you going to be? Are you going to follow and be a sheep or are you going to stand up and lead? Because people need people to lead. So I was like, I'm going to show up. I'm going to share people how to manage your mind through uncomfortable times, how to, in uncertain times, how to be the leader in your business when the shit's going to, shit's hitting the fan. So you get to choose who do you want to be. So owning your authority and what beliefs can you hold about yourself, about business, about success, about money for your next level. So I want to take a few moments here, thinking about your next level. Who do you need to be? Any questions? Feel free to ask. She's starting to become clearer. Now, some of it might be way far out, and that's okay. We want to start to just identify like the differences between who we're being now. And I think one of even the biggest shifts as well that I've made over my business journey, like after being in business now 8 years plus, there was a time when I was like probably three or 4 years in where I was like, I'm no longer going to treat this business as my personal bank account. I'm going to treat it like a legitimate business. I'm going to build it, right? I'm changing the way that I see the business and I'm going to be the leader in order for me to step up because you think that though you have to have certain external results for you to then step up to that next level. But no, you have to be the one that changes to create that result. So starting to like what needs to shift in the way that you think about yourself, your business, about success, about money in order for you to start being that CEO, to be that next level version of yourself. Because then when you start to do this, you can start to identify like, where am I spending my time? Like when you think about that next level, that CEO, where is she spending her time? What is she doing? She's not wasting time researching such and such over here. She's not wasting time twiddling with a graphic, right? Like what is she doing and how is she showing up? That's how you make the change and start to step into next level results. So I'd encourage you to spend a little bit more time on this, maybe after the session, tomorrow, over the weekend, and start to really cultivate a beautiful vision of your next level self. Because the more that you can cultivate this and you start to create a representation of it. So you want to think about like, put it somewhere. Like I would have this description somewhere in your office and you read it every single morning and then you start acting as her, right? You've got to act as her and start being her in order for you to become her. So this is uncomfortable. I want to say that because your brain, like I said, doesn't want you to grow, doesn't want you to change. But the more that you start to choose it and you visualize it, you start stepping into it and you start creating leverage on yourself, you start to set higher standards for yourself, the more likely is you start to create new behaviors and then you start to create new results. So that means we're going to have to be okay with feeling scared, to feeling uncomfortable, to feel like knowing that, oh, this is me being comfortable stepping back into my comfort zone. I did that thing again, and I'm recognizing that that's my old behavior. I'm not being my future self right now. So starting to make decisions for my future self and start acting and being the person that I truly want to be and start interrupting those self-sabotaging behaviors. I find that surrounding yourself with people really helps, that ones that are also striving for more, because we are the sum of the 5 people we spend the most time with. So if we think about those 5 people that we surround ourselves with the most, we look at the same results. So I remember doing this with my health journey as well. Like I was like, oh, I'm surrounded with people that literally don't work out. They don't go to the gym. So if I want to be someone who goes to the gym and regularly works out and takes care of their health, I'm going to have to get some new friends that also do that, right? That it becomes part of their identity. Like people who value health and who work out as part of their identity, they do it without the thought around, oh, I'm going to have to get to the gym today. They just do it. It's become part of their identity. It's the same thing with business. You want to surround yourself with people who treat their business like a full business, that are they're being the CEO and acting as if, right? Um, yeah. So when it comes to like expanding, sorry, 2 seconds. So Susan just said, I wrote a manifesto for my new business. I'm now going to write, yes, write a new manifesto for your new identity. Love this. So good. And Sinead said, can you expand on claiming your authority? So when you think about, and I dived into this actually last week's masterclass as well, into like the strategy side of things. But when it comes to claiming your authority with regards to your identity, when you think about your next level, you want to go, who is that person being? And what is she owning in her space, right? When you think about authority, it's how you're owning your results, who you are speaking about yourself and about your successes, your accomplishments, your results that you've achieved in your business, the results you achieve for your clients, and how you start owning that. And I see that you actually are starting to do this, Sinead. Like I'm seeing this with your content, which is awesome. And start like owning that, and then and owning your own frameworks, and start challenging yourself to be like, I'm claiming this. I'm not waiting for permission or waiting for other people to say it's okay for me to do this, right? So you think about your next level and go at the 600K, right? Right? I knew you were going to give me a face. At the 600K, who would she be being when it comes to her authority and how she's leading in her space? How she's claiming her, like, is she going for awards? Is she approaching opportunities for PR? Is she getting onto podcasts? Like, is she really claiming her space in her messaging? Does that make sense? So who is she being at that level? And if you can start weaving that into who you're currently being, that then will be a foregone conclusion. Yeah, awesome. The next one is like upgrading your representation of success. Often the case is we get comfortable in our own version of success because, again, we're surrounding ourselves with people or even just representations of what we consume online with current stages of growth, right? So if you think about who you consume online, the podcasts you listen to, the events that you go to, the masterminds that you're a part of, like the communities that you're a part of, what is that stage of growth? What is that stage of representation of success? There's times where you need to identify that you have outgrown those containers, you've outgrown that space, that community, and you need to start putting yourself into higher levels in order for that level of success to be normal, right? So the more that you do that, you start having conversations at a whole new level that you're like, oh, this is normal for me to have to hit 600K. It's normal for me to hit those types of income goals or impact goals or to have these types of problems. Does that make sense? But it's usually because we don't have a new representation of success. And so we end up creating what we believe is possible because we haven't expanded that. We need to start stepping into our CEO shoes and start owning our worth and start like, even like, I think, was it Madeline was around the data? Like the CEO would truly own that data and be like, I'm not going to let my husband look at it. I'm also going to look at it. Or was it Melissa? I can't remember who it was. So go, well, I'm going to take responsibility of that because I know the CEO would do that. Yeah. Awesome. So today I've shown you that to create new level outcomes, new level successes, levels of authority, new levels of income, impact, everything, your next level of success, we're going to need to upgrade your current identity, right? Work on and releasing those limiting beliefs and behaviors and start owning who that next level is. Who is that version of yourself that you want to step into? Start making decisions from her right? Start acting as if, start putting things on your calendar. That is that next level version of yourself. Take the scary action as you update your identity because you're going to have to do hard things and it's going to be uncomfortable, right? Which is where it's really helpful to get leverage on yourself because otherwise we can quite easily just give up on ourselves and not do the scary thing. Surround yourself with new representations of what's possible because the more that you start having those conversations, listening to those conversations, reading, like sometimes it's even upgrading your education, right? So reading a certain book about the topic that makes you feel more confident in that space, right? I remember it was definitely me with money early on because I had been told at school that I wasn't good at math and that related to them being not good at money. And so I needed to literally upgrade my vocabulary around money and education around money. So I felt more comfortable having those conversations and dealing with those types of numbers, right? And lastly, there's stepping into your CEO shoes and owning your worth and claiming your authority. It's important that we start to identify, again, where we're playing small and start to go, it's okay for me to be uncomfortable, but I know that it's going to be scary. But the more that I keep playing small, it's not going to get me to where I want to be. And it's time to start stretching myself. Yeah. To be uncomfortable, but no, that's how I grow. Without, like, if you are not stretching yourself, you're not growing. If you're not getting uncomfortable, you're staying in your comfort zone. You're not growing. So I want you to imagine what it would be like to be that next level version of yourself. What would actually be happening? What would you be experiencing? Because through this next stage of growth, right, this next level identity, it's actually on the other side of that is where you have the results that you're looking for. It's where you have the freedom because you've set those clear boundaries. It's because you have the good money because you're prioritizing following up with your clients or you're honoring taking care of the data in your business and the numbers. It's where you're claiming your authority and being the go-to person in your industry, right? It's where you've got that increased visibility because you've created that habit of being consistent and developing a fan base. You have your things selling out because you're confidently owning that space and communicating that sales is a part of your growth. Like if you want to scale to the next level, sales is a massive part, which is why I spent a whole masterclass on it last week, right? So you feel also rock solid in your direction because you're owning where you want to be. Right? Often we don't even do this type of work. We don't sit here and go, where do I want to be in a year's time, 2 years' time? And who is that version of myself I need to become? When you start to lean into that and start taking action, you know where you're going. You know where you're going. And you start to feel more confident in your ability to earn, manage, and circulate money with strategic plans in place because you are taking responsibility for your current actions in your business, your current behaviors. And then we start to go, okay, for me to go to that next level, who does she need to be? What does she need to be across? How does she need to lead? Does that make sense? So I can imagine what that would be like because obviously this type of work is not something that we can all do in a 1 hour masterclass. If I had a lot more time with you, we could do some more change work. And this is where we work on the subconscious mind because we can consciously think about it, which is what we've done today, is consciously start to go, okay, where am I playing small and start to do that. But usually what I do with my clients is work on the subconscious mind. So we're working through that programming and working through NLP processes to work through releasing some of the old behaviors and dissolving the limiting beliefs. So then it's easier for you to start stepping in and owning your space and start being the version of yourself you truly want to be, right? We need to work through that fear, work through all the blocks that are preventing you from moving forward. So I would love to spend more time with you. And if you feel like you've learned a lot from me today and you would love to continue the journey, I'm going to share with you an opportunity to continue to work with me. So from here, obviously you have options. You don't have to continue to work with me. You can absolutely keep doing what you're doing. You can keep going it alone, or you can read a bunch of books on identity, or you can allow me to coach you and start help you step into your unapologetic authority era, because that's what I'm all about in this next phase of growth in my business. So if you feel comfortable and you're ready to start taking this next step, actually, I shouldn't say if you feel comfortable, because you're not going to feel comfortable. I'm not going to let you get comfortable. If you're ready to get leverage on yourself, I should say, because this is all about your next level growth, right? So if you're ready for your next level, I have a container called the Next Level Mastermind. This is a high touch 6-month mastermind for ambitious women in business who are ready to scale, who are ready to take it to the next level, claim their authority, and create more freedom on their terms. The Next Level Mastermind is all about scaled sales, unapologetic authority, and freedom on your terms. And what we do is we uncover what your next level is going to be. So this doesn't mean that you have to, if you don't want to scale 10 times where you're at, that's okay. This is about freedom on your terms and your business next level. Okay. So in the first month, we get together with a one-on-one call and we unlock what your next level is going to be and create a strategy around what you want to achieve in your business. And then we look at what needs to change in order for you to get there. So we work on the identity shifts, right? We work on what your strategy needs to be. So I like to blend strategy and mindset together because we can't have one without the other. It just doesn't happen. So the next level mastermind is all about scaled sales, next level strategic growth, because when it comes to this stage of growth, it's actually less about adding more. It's more about simplifying, like actually simplifying and going, what do I need to grow and how can I be more strategic? Because your time is so important. We need to be more strategic and make sure that everything is working together for one common goal in your business. Right? Usually what happens when I have women come into this container, we look at every part of their business and there's certain things that aren't talking to each other and aren't working towards your common goal. And so we want to look at how we're being more strategic and help you step into your unapologetic authority. So start to own your space to become the go-to person in your industry. And lastly, start to step into your CEO leadership. So like we talked about today, step away from being just the founder and start being the CEO in your business and start to own that space so then you can start to create those next level results. So over the 6 months, you get access to one-on-one coaching, mindset upgrades. We do a 12-month sales strategy with quarterly focus, personalized and customized to your business. And group mastermindings. This is where we have that representation of other forms of success and what's possible. And we have those high-level conversations to support you in being able to stay in momentum and take massive action. So this is where you're getting leverage on yourself because you change by osmosis with the people that you surround yourself with. We also have an in-person mastermind event that happens in November where we also do a branding photo shoot to help you step into that next level of authority. And we start to obviously get to connect with all the other beautiful ladies, but we take everything we're learning and we take it to that next level with that in-person experience. And obviously is a 6-month supportive journey. So here's what to expect. Bi-monthly coaching sessions as a group. Then you have one-on-one coaching sessions as well throughout our time together. You get access to my scaled sales program, which is all the strategy that you need to scale and grow your business. The millionaire mindset piece, the money mindset that we do, the money mindset work that we do is so key at this stage of growth because as we start to make more money, it unlocks a new level of money mindset and blocks that come up to the surface. And so we work through any releasing with NLP processes in your one-on-one coaching sessions. But then you also get to start to look at where am I limiting myself with my money mindset and also your leadership element. So starting to step into embody your next level of leadership. You get access to a supportive community of beautiful, ambitious women in business and our in-person mastermind day, dinner and photo shoot on the Gold Coast in November. I'm going to share with you the link in the chat. You can check out all the details there. So it didn't save for me, damn it, but it's basically that bit.ly down there. So you can see bit.ly/NLMM25. So if you click that link, it will take you to the sign up page, which has all the breakdowns of everything that the mastermind includes. And then if you would like to have a conversation with me, I'm also doing one-on-one calls if you'd like to chat more about what the next level mastermind could be and whether it's the right fit for you.
I joined the next level mastermind because I had stopped delivering my one-on-one services and coaching, and I was moving fully into the one-to-many model. And really, I wanted to be in a supportive space while I made this move. I also felt like I was starting to hold back a little bit, and I was letting fear get in the way. So I knew being in a mastermind was going to be really essential during this process. I also decided to join the Next Level Mastermind specifically because Christine is so good at mindset coaching and mindset work. And with that mindset work that we did together, I was actually able to uncover some mindset blocks that I didn't even know that I had. And through that process, was able to clear them with her amazing mindset processes. Now, once those were cleared, I was able to really get into taking the right action to start growing the business the way that I really wanted to. And this really allowed me to step into my next level. So I really benefited from Christine's input on this side of business as well. I learned so much from her. And I also used so many of Christine's sales tips to really get my sales going. And as a result of that, I had one of my biggest revenue months while in the mastermind. And since leaving the mastermind, this has continued to grow. So I highly recommend the Next Level Mastermind if you're looking to step into your next level in your business and also within your leadership of yourself. So yeah, highly recommend it. And I absolutely loved it. And it had such a positive effect on my business.
So that was my beautiful client Lou, and it was really interesting. She had a self-sabotaging behavior that she hadn't realized until we dived into the mastermind, and she was holding herself back from visibility and really following through on everything that she was doing in her business. And so she recognized that level of playing small, and she really wanted to unlock what was happening. And so once we worked through shifting that, she was able to achieve so much within her business. And she even said to me last week, actually, she said that every single part of like all the business metrics has grown, from her visibility, her followers, her email list, her income, her impact. She's noticed that it's continued to grow, and she finished up with me back in March. And so it's continued to grow, which has been awesome. So this mastermind is very much for two different types of women in business, very much for people who are at that next level of growth. Firstly, if you're a visionary, so if you are in a stage of growth where you're wanting to move from one to one to one to many, maybe you already have something, a scalable offer that you want to grow, or you are wanting to build one. It'll help you with building or refining and scaling your sales with regards to that offer. Or if you currently have a team and your business model is solid and you're really wanting to work on yourself to up level your identity. And so you're wanting to ditch the self-sabotage and lead at this next level. And you want to be surrounded by other incredible women doing that level of growth and scaling at that level. And what they both have in common is that they're ambitious and they're ready, and they wanted to get that leverage on themselves to support that next level of scalability, unapologetic authority and freedom on their terms. So I'm going to share with you, I know I've gone a little bit over time. So there's heaps of testimonials on the sign up page. If you want to start learning and reading more about the beautiful clients that I've worked with in the past to see whether it's a right fit for you, you're welcome to do that. And you're more than welcome to also reach out and have a one-on-one conversation with me if you like to chat more. Now, the mastermind doors close tomorrow night. So I just want to say that.
Join the mastermind or
Sorry. The full breakdown of the mastermind is the value of the mastermind is over $54,000, and I actually haven't added the branding shoot on that, so it's more than that. And the level of support that you get is my highest. That's why I have one-on-one coaching in this container, because at this stage of growth, you do need the one-on-one coaching to really unlock what's holding you back and to help support your growth, right? So I love that personalized side, the personalized strategy, as well as your high-level support. There are a few different payment plan options. You can either do a pay in full, which is $7,499, or if you prefer, you can break it down over 6 months, 6 monthly payments of $1,250, all inclusive of GST. Or there is actually a 9-month payment plan as well, which brings it down to $847 a month as well. So depending on what your cash flow is, you can find a payment plan that will work for you. So there is a 14-day do the work money back guarantee. So if you feel like you get in there and we do a few of the group calls and that you feel, and we do your one-on-one coaching session, if you feel like the mastermind is not the right fit, you can just let me know and I will obviously give you your money back. I want to make sure that's the right fit for the beautiful ladies that are in the group. And I also want to make sure that it is the right fit for you and your growth in your business. But also I want to hold you accountable to what you said you were wanting to do with your business. So if that feels like it's aligned, there is a money back guarantee. So you can, because sometimes it's really hard to know what you're going to get with a group program. So I always love to give that, because and also I just want to say, I've never had to do that. Never had to do that. So whatever feels like, if you have questions, I even have clients of mine that you can reach out to. So I can give you a couple of names if you want to chat to anyone that's been a part of the mastermind before to get a feel for what it's like, because sometimes it's hard to listen to someone be like, yes, join my program. But really the truth will come from my clients that I've loved working with in the past, and they will also give you full authenticity and share with you the breakthroughs that they've had throughout our time together. So there is a fast action bonus though. If you join us before tomorrow night, 8 p.m., you will get access to a bonus one-on-one coaching session with me, a 60-minute in-depth coaching session, and that can be personalized to whatever it is that you need. And because I know I'm only running this masterclass today, I'm going to leave the doors open for those who have registered for this masterclass until Tuesday night. But if you choose to join straight away and you want to join before 8 o'clock tomorrow night, you'll get this bonus. But I am going to keep the doors open until Tuesday just for the people who have registered for this masterclass. But if you see on my socials, you'll see the doors closed tomorrow night. Okay? Amazing. I'm going to open up for Q&A as well. If you have any questions, feel free to jump on your mic or in the chat and you can ask away. There's some other incredible bonuses that I have with you as well, but you can jump onto the sign up page and ask any questions that you have. And as you can see, plenty of testimonials to show you. Thank you so much today. I hope you found it's really, really valuable. And if you have any questions with anything that I've covered, I'm going to open the floor now. You can either ask questions about the mastermind or anything we've covered today. Okay. Does anyone have any questions?
No? I was just going to ask, I am like very early stages. Like I have business ideas, but I think I'm at the point where I'm a bit overwhelmed now. Like I've just got so many ideas and then I get a bit of like analysis paralysis and then I just don't do anything. Do you have any suggestions for just sort of like collecting all my ideas and figuring out what specific steps to start taking?
So I look at a couple of things. So one, you want to look at what you're really passionate about. Okay, all good, Sinead, no worries. What you're really passionate about and what you feel like you could talk about and go into in depth over the next couple of years. Because I think sometimes we get too caught up in following other fun things or what we think people or what we think we should be doing. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, I would look at what you're really passionate about. And then the second side of things is like, what would people pay for? Because if you want to run a business, it's easier to sell stuff that people want rather than like going, I'm just going to create something random and hope that people buy it, right? So I would give those two things, what you're really passionate about and what can I go to market with that people really want. And if you're not sure, do some market research and have some conversations with some people to see if there's anything that will fit in that kind of diagram.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then if you want further support with it, I do have a program called Unstoppable Sales, which is for early stage business owners that are working towards 10K months. The next intake will be next month and we start in November. So you can always check that out. There's a wait list for that as well. That's for early stage entrepreneurs that are wanting to build just any, like as a service-based business and want to get confident with selling online.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Great question. Any other questions? Yeah.
Do you share the slides at all?
I will share the replay. Yes, you'll get access to the
perfect. Okay.
I'll send out the replay this afternoon. I know there's still a few people on with no cameras on, but does anyone have any other questions? Just want to open the floor just in case. Well, good. I'll send out the replay. If anyone has any questions, feel free to send me a DM on Instagram. Otherwise, thank you so much for joining today. I really appreciate it. And I hope everyone has an incredible rest of their week. Take care. Thank you for listening, and if you found any value out of this episode, make sure you hit the follow button so you get access to the episodes as soon as they are live, and make sure you come hang out with me on Instagram. You can find me at ChristineCorcoran_coach. Have an incredible week.